Startup Nation, this is Dr. Carol. I'm just here, wanted to give you guys some helpful tips and things to remember as we move and navigate through this unprecedented health pandemic. The first thing you guys want to remember is please wash your hands thoroughly and frequently. Wash your hands for at least 20 seconds under warm water with soap. If you do not have access to a sink with warm water and soap, please use hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. The next thing you want to do is please avoid large crowds and social gatherings. As young people, our immune systems are typically healthier, and so we can be asymptomatic, which basically means that we can carry the virus if we come in contact with it, and our immune system will recover. But we also pose the risk of spreading it to those who are immunocompromised or who have chronic health conditions and our older people. So please avoid large crowds if you can. The next thing I would say is use respiratory hygiene. If you have to sneeze, if you have to cough, please cover your mouth in your sleeve, not with your hands. Please avoid touching your hands and face after you've done this as well. And please, again, wash your hands. And lastly, if you feel sick, if you have any of these symptoms, which is high fever, initially a dry cough or fatigue, please seek medical help early. If you've been exposed to someone who might have had the virus or been in contact, please stay at home to avoid spreading the virus to anyone else. Again, this is something serious, so we don't want to take it lightly. But those are just some helpful tips and reminders for you guys as we navigate through this pandemic. I hope you guys have a great day and stay safe.
The Startup Life is powered by Canvas People. Startup Nation, my wife and mom are always getting on me about taking pictures of my daughter with my phone and never sharing it with them. They say I'm holding the pictures hostage, which I think is just absurd. But if I'm being honest, Startup Nation, I just forget all about those pictures. Also, with my busy schedule as an entrepreneur, the month of May always creeps up on me. And if I forget Mother's Day, trust me, I'm going to have bigger problems on my hands. But this year I won't have that problem. That's because my friends at Canvas People have my back. CanvasPeople.com is where you can upload your photos from your phone and print them on canvases. Their site is easy to use and shipping is quick. They also have other items you can put your phone photos on, such as a nice custom tabletop to go in the office of your business, and even NFL themed ones to support your favorite team. Trust me, Startup Nation, you're gonna love Canvas People, and I have a special code that you can use to get an 11x14 Canvas People print for free. That's right, Startup Nation, free. This is a $76.99 value. All you have to do is pay for shipping and handling. Get your own 11x14 Canvas People print for free. Just visit canvaspeople.com, upload your photo, and enter this special promo code STARTUP. This is a special limited offer for today's listeners. So go to canvaspeople.com today and use the code STARTUP for your free print. So if you're ready to win Mother's Day or any other special occasion, remember my friends at canvaspeople.com, where you can get a photo of your favorite people on great canvases. Startup Nation, do you have friends and loved ones that you want to do something nice for, but maybe they live in the next city, the next state, or even halfway around the world? Well, I have a solution for you. KOYA is the new and best way to let your friends and family know you're thinking of them. Choose a friend, record a message, and hide it in a location that they are likely to visit, and give them a clue. When they arrive, your message will instantly appear. You can even send them a gift. Best of all, the app is completely free. Get KOYA.com to download it now. That's KETKOYA.com. Or check the link in the show notes. KOYA, show you care when you can't be there. This episode is powered by ReadyCloud. Startup Nation, if you're selling online, you need ReadyCloud CRM. ReadyCloud CRM keeps you and your team connected through a powerful e-commerce suite for shipping, online returns, and growth marketing. Go to ReadyCloudPod.com to start your free trial. ReadyCloud CRM syncs with all popular sales channels, including Shopify, BigCommerce, Magento, WooCommerce, Square, and Amazon. ReadyCloud CRM has the everyday tools you need to review all your orders, quickly ship your orders for less, and handle returns the way Amazon does. Start today and get 100 free action alerts by registering at ReadyCloudPod.com. That's ReadyCloudPod.com. If you listen to the replay on the podcast, the link is there in the show notes. So if you're ready to take your e-commerce game to the next level, remember ReadyCloud, the e-commerce suite with all the tools you need.
It's time to be about that life. The Startup Life. Here's your host, Dominic Lawson.
All right, Startup Nation, so I hope you're ready to receive some value today. My name is Dominic Lawson, and this is The Startup Life, the show for entrepreneurs and career-minded professionals. And today, Startup Nation, we have a fantastic guest on the show for you today. And also today, Startup Nation, the show is brought to you by ReadyCloud LLC. It's an e-commerce suite that does more than just CRM, and we're definitely going to get into that. But today's guest is a graduate of the University of the Pacific, and he's the CEO of ReadyCloud as well. He is Chris Dunn. What's going on, CD?
Yeah, hey, Startup Nation.
All righty. Are you ready to pour some knowledge in the Startup Nation today, Chris?
I am. I think I got something to share.
All right, cool deal. All right, so first things first, man, let's set this thing off right. So just kind of share your origin story, your background with Startup Nation a little bit.
I went to Pacific, and the whole thing started back as a school project. I mean, how does anybody get into what they do? A lot of times, maybe it's by accident. Sometimes I see a need. Mm-hmm. I was somewhere in between. It started off as a school project. I actually was for mountain bike accessories. I did it. I went to business school. Yeah, I went to business school. Did this school project, and once I got out of school, I still liked the project, right? I saw value in the project, and it was to develop mountain bike parts and accessories and bikes and fenders and things like that. And I kind of knew what to do with it. And my college professors kept on pushing me, why don't you take that route? Why don't you see how far you can do this? And so I, out of school, I got a little tiny office. I swear it was about 200 square foot. I started doing this mountain bike accessories. I had just enough money to build a plastic injection mold, right? Okay. Which, for guys that don't know, it's what you pump plastic into this thing and it spits out a bike fender. Well, I pulled together just enough money to do that, and I had no money left to do parts, right? I had a mold and no money left to put plastic into it. So I started working restaurants at night, doing my bike thing during the day, hit a couple successful trade shows, and things started to perpetuate itself. So I'm getting to the point is that over time, what you do, whether you love it or not, it starts to become a widget. Okay, so I started getting all these bike fenders come in, all these other stuff coming in. I started broadening my product line, and it was just really the art of getting the thing in the door, whether I was making it domestically or overseas, repackaging it and sending it out to distributors where it's supposed to go. So I got desensitized to it over time, right? Absolutely. It was about the art of doing this efficiently, right? How can I do this the most efficiently? I did things like having things prepackaged at the manufacturer spot. When stuff come in, sometimes I would get the local disabled houses to assemble things. So I try to participate in my community, as I could. It was a great way for both of us to work together. And at the time, and this was 2004, 2005 in ballpark, there was really nothing for shipping software, and that's really where I was. I was manufacturing and distributing, right, to bike shops and bike distributors and things like that. Mm-hmm. And so for those of you that go back this far, it was UPS and carbons, right? You're writing stuff out, and it was time consuming. So I sold that business over time, and a few years later, launched TrueShip. And TrueShip was designed, it was exactly that. It was shipping software. We were one of the first partners overall with UPS, I think the 28th overall, to get on their UPS Ship API. So it was designed to make bike labels. It was designed to import your orders from eBay and Amazon and type stuff in, and it would make a label. That's how the whole thing started. And we built a relationship with UPS. Then shortly thereafter, we took it to I'm a Big Mac fan. Me and my partner at the time. So we were both Big Mac guys, and we're out of the Bay Area. So what we did shortly thereafter, we went to Macworld when there was still a Macworld to go to. Well, a guy came by who was from Apple and said, hey, this is great. We're trying to, broaden and bring awareness that Mac is a business platform. And remember, this is, 2006, something like that. So, we're trying to, broaden our market reach into businesses. We think this would be great. Why don't you come by and we can talk about it? So, we were like, whoa, this is an invitation to the mothership, right? Absolutely. So me and my partner went, and we got all kinds of sage advice from these guys, different types of tips on, Apple, they do Java too. Maybe this is what you guys should think about doing. Here's, we met with their UI team. Hey, you know what, to consider these different types of things, and when you consider your UI, because, we're young guys. We're just putting all the pieces together and trying to get as much feedback and learn as we can.
Of course.
So, man, we left that, and it was amazing. So we left that, and we put together really the first multi-carrier shipping system that was cross-platform for both Mac and PC. To carry that forward, how do we get to where I am today? Well, shipping software, for those of you that use it, especially with an e-commerce system, know that whether it's you using it directly, maybe you're the guy in the back office who use it, maybe you got an employee that's back there using it, it knows everything, right? Because think about it. It's importing orders from, your shopping cart, you're putting stuff into it, your different marketplaces, so it knows who your customers are, what they bought, when they bought it, if they ordered twice, when it was delivered. It knows all this stuff, right? And it's stuck there with a guy in the back office who his real job is to go in and, pack the boxes, get them out of there, and go home. And that's his day, right? It's not his job to do something with the data. So that is where we started to evolve. We're like, I think there's more to it than just shipping software, because there's a wealth of information here that isn't being, well utilized by these businesses. So that's when we evolved into ReadyCloud. We thought the natural progression would be, hey, you know what? Let's put the shipping back with the shipping guy, and let's put a cloud-based component so that sales and support and administration can log in and they can see their orders and who repurchased, and they can see the shipping activity from the guys whether it's them doing it or the guys in the back office. They can go back in time to track packages and so on. So that's the evolution. That's how we got to where we are today. From manufacturing and seeing a need for shipping software to seeing an additional need for more of a business-based solution for more people in the organization and more touches than just shipping software could do.
Quick follow-up, if I may, because you talked about how this thing, kind of started from a project or a paper at school or whatever. And it reminds me of here near and dear. You talked about UPS, but a competitor is FedEx here in Memphis, Tennessee. But Fred Smith, FedEx started with a thesis paper that he wrote. So it made me think about that when you were sharing your story. Quick follow-up, though, because you were talking about you was making mountain biking molds or whatever and stuff like that. Are you an extreme sport guy? Is that something you was getting into? Why mountain biking accessories? And
you know what? I bike to school every day.
Okay.
And I bike to school every day. It's a little bit wet, whereas Stockton it rains, and I do always get a sort of mud stripe up my back. And back in the day, it was a dual suspension bike, and there weren't any fenders on it. So I did a class project for a bike fender that mounted on the seat post. And I actually got a patent on it while I was still in school because my professors kept on pushing me. They gave me a B on the project, but they liked the project, and so I merited it. So I kept on going with it.
Right.
And then that went into bike racks as well. So we developed most of the mountain bike accessories that you see that mount on the seat post.
Gotcha. Thank you for sharing that for sure. So, Chris, I want to ask you this, man, because, as you know, right now, we're kind of going through a bit of a health crisis around the world. And, a lot of small businesses are being affected and things of that nature. And before we kind of dive into that just a little bit, I want to hear about your experience right now. What's your new normal looking like, from your professional side of the business and running ReadyCloud, but also the personal side as well? Kind of share that with me.
Well, we're here. We're sort of considered a critical business because we support those e-commerce businesses that are shipping. So we're here. We're picking up calls. We're supporting those businesses, and some people are doing. I'll be honest. Some people are doing great. We seem to, see some people in exercise equipment and also often, personal health. Some types of food products, things like that, and they just can't keep them off the shelf. We don't hear so much from the other people, maybe the ones that are in, fine jewelry, things like that. Maybe those luxury ticket items are dropping a little bit because it's so unfortunate that people are losing their jobs. So,
understood.
There's less disposable income out there. So we only right now are hearing from the people that are doing great, and not so much from the ones that are sort of running for cover.
Gotcha. What about your personal side, like you and your family? How's that been affected at all?
We haven't been that affected.
Okay.
We're in Arizona here, and it's sort of our perspective is it's going to be it's early April. It's going to be 105 here in about a month.
Right.
And so the hope here is that it's going to be sort of flushed out. We understand it doesn't like the heat very much, in about 30 days, regardless of what happens.
Right.
But we've been careful. We keep to ourselves. But at the same time, people are social. You got to do something. So whether it's getting out and going for a short hike or going to the park or walking your dog, you got to stay sane. But fortunately, it's not like New York here. It's not like some of the more heavily hit places. Arizona is a little more spread out, and so we're taking everything in stride.
Last question before we move on about that, because you mentioned that you're not hearing so much from the businesses that maybe not be doing so well. And you mentioned how some people are kind of losing their jobs and stuff like that. And so with that being said, a lot of people are considering, the path of entrepreneurship. They even considering e-commerce as a path to kind of jumpstart that path to entrepreneurship as well. What are some of those key tips for people who are kind of jumping into the e-commerce spot and they're coming from a traditional 9 to 5? What are some of those tips you would give them as they start that path forward?
It's commitment. So to me, it was all about commitment. I've known so many people who just don't like their job, and if you don't like their job, maybe it's just time to get a new job. Entrepreneurship requires passion. You got to get into what you're doing. You have to be passionate about it, and you got to commit to it. If you put just one foot into it while you're keeping your job and you're thinking about doing something else because you don't like your job, then it might not be right for you. I went in with both feet, and when you go in with both feet, you're committed, right? It's part of you, and you have to make it work. It doesn't always work, right? It doesn't. I was fortunate, but for some people, it doesn't always work. But when you find yourself and you're committed to it, you find your inspiration from that, and you find strength sometimes you didn't know you had. But sometimes that's really what it takes. It's side projects sometimes just remain a side project.
I hear that.
They don't mature into businesses.
Gotcha. That's very true. That's very true. And that consistency you mentioned is super important. So I was on the website, readycloud.com, Startup Nation. We have a link there in the show notes for easy access. If you're listening to the replay on the podcast there, readycloud.com for my radio listeners. So, I was looking on the website and I saw one of your blog posts, and one of them was talking about how, when you're in the e-commerce game, a lot of times the e-commerce business owner is only thinking about the product inside the box. But you're saying in this blog here that it's also the packaging is super important as well. Talk about that a little bit, because I don't think a lot of e-commerce business owners think about the packaging as opposed to just the product as much.
Yeah, absolutely. My approach to packaging was always a little bit minimalistic.
Okay.
I always took the approach of minimalistic packaging, something that says that explains the product, at a glance. Something that is also recyclable or something along those lines. So you want to appeal to people's practical side by saying, what are they looking at right off the shelf, and if you are an entrepreneur that's new, give your product a name that's descriptive. Let people know what it is at a glance. Show them what it is at a glance with regards to the packaging, and try to appeal the customers' sort of sensible side by putting a renewable little logo on there to let them know it's recyclable, things like that.
Right.
It's also important if you have to think in the future as well. In terms of how you're going to distribute the product. The larger your packaging is, you can make it elaborate, but the larger it is, the more it's going to cost to ship. I can speak to that side as well.
Sure.
So a lot of it has to do with even if your item is really, really light, if you put like a big packaging around it, it'll cost you more money because so many shippers, being UPS and FedEx and others, will look at your product dimensionally. How big is it versus how heavy is it? So that's to be cost effective. You also have to look at the size of the packaging, not get too elaborate. Make sure it stands on the shelf and it's got presence, but at the same time, make it sensible.
For sure.
Size.
For sure. Thank you for sharing all of that. For sure. So, Startup Nation, Chris was the business development officer there at ReadyCloud and became CEO back in 2017. Correct, Chris?
Correct.
Okay. So I want to ask you this, man. So when you were in that role of the business development officer, and then you became CEO, what are some of those things that you learned from the previous role before becoming CEO that you kind of took into the CEO role, like leadership, building the culture? What are some of those things that you have taken into that CEO role? Because not many people that we talk to have gone from like one role into that CEO suite. So I want to kind of get your take on that.
It's all about relationships. From business development to becoming more of a leadership role. It's all about relationships and understand who you're talking to and what different people's needs are. Sometimes when in business development, you can really make a breakthrough just by having a conversation with somebody that you think would be a good business partner and listening to their needs and actually developing into something great. The people around you the same way. Everybody has, even now, during this sort of this time of crisis, people have different needs. We have got some people here in the office, and some people work at home because they're a little bit more at risk. And you have to understand whether they're scared or whether they're actually sick. What their needs are. You got to listen to them and be patient and understanding of what that might be. And I think that goes into all things. So whether you're working with a team, because your developers are going to be a very different mindset than your creative people. They just have to be handled differently. So just understanding who the people are that you work with, understand what their needs are and perspectives are, and getting everybody working together as a cohesive group.
I hear that, and that relationship piece is so important, Startup Nation. So I'm glad Chris said that. In that same vein, Chris, I know what you do at Ready Cloud. Relationships is super important, especially when you talk about customer relationship management. And so talk about how Ready Cloud kind of stands apart from its competitors in that part, because you have a lot of people, a lot of competitors in that space, from Salesforce to other people. Talk about how you stand apart from everybody else.
Yeah, sure. And that's a really good example. The Salesforce example is that we're not particularly a Salesforce. And
Right.
let me start from there. Is that we're
Absolutely.
e-commerce CRM.
Right.
And given my background in product, right? So that's where I came from back in school to making this stuff, to distributing this stuff, to say, hey, shipping, every step along the way, I'm a product first oriented person, right? And so the guys here. And so what this really is, it's a product based CRM. So it's not, I meet you at a trade show or at an event, I get your card, I drop it in there. It's not so much for that. What it does is it pulls in all your orders across all your sales channels, Amazon, your Magento or WooCommerce website, whatever it might be, and it pulls it in and it puts a face and activity to people that you never met, right? These are orders that you came in, you never met these people, they found you online, and they bought something from you. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to say, hey, you know what? Let's put the pieces together. So how often do they order from you? Did they order from your like Amazon and then they found your website? So did they buy from a couple different sources? Do they reorder often? Things like that. So that's how we create a profile. We create a profile from people that you never met, and we put them in the Ready Cloud CRM. And then from there, you can, there's different components to ship your product, put Amazon-like returns on your website, and all these things really do is try to complete that profile. Say, hey, you know what, you shipped it on this date and this date, it arrived, they reordered from you here. Oh, and you know what, they initiated a return for these reasons. So it really goes beyond, just capturing who this person is, what the order life cycle is in terms of when they bought it to if it was delivered to when it was returned, whatever it might be, any feedback on that. So that's really it. It's a CRM based on the people that you never met who would love to buy from you on a regular basis, and how better to support these customers and make them long-term customers.
Gotcha. I'm glad you said that, because you talk about you building relationships with people that you never met. Because I imagine in e-commerce, there's one of the big issues that come up is returns or people not happy with the product. For those in Startup Nation out there listening, and they're thinking about diving into the e-commerce space for the first time, and they're starting to deal with some of those customers where you have like those customers have a bad experience or something like that. What are some of those first initial steps they should take in trying to fix that relationship, mend that relationship with the customer? What does those steps look like to you?
Well, customer is always right. It's a total cliche, but here's the thing, and because I've been doing this for a while, right? And the mindset used to be that, and I'm sure everyone's seen this, right? Somebody that you bought from is going to make it hard on you, right? Nobody wants a return.
Right.
So you bought something, if you go back to their website and you see a wall of text where you're hoping something more Amazon-like is going to be, we just put in your order number and make a label and send it back. Doesn't always happen. So the old school mindset is that I'm going to sell you something, I'm going to make it hard to send it back. You're going to have to call me up, I'm going to give you an RMA number, you're going to fill out a form, I'm going to send you a label, or you're going to have to take it to the post office or UPS store or something like that. So there's all these steps. And when you buy something, easy, right? Everybody puts a lot of work into their websites. It's pretty, it's easy to, you buy something in a couple steps, but they don't remember that if there's a return. What they remember is all these different hurdles, all these different things you made them go through to return it. So they don't remember what a delight it was to buy from you. They remember what a pain it was to return it to you. And so if you make it really hard on them and you say, nope, we're not going to accept your return, all they do is vent, right? All they do is vent online. So that doesn't help either. That's more detrimental than just giving their $50 back or whatever it is. So really, that's the way you got to approach it. So basically, treat people you want to be treated. The way people shop these days is they're going to go to your store. If they've never shopped from you before, they want confidence, right? That's why so many people buy, from Amazon based on a picture, right? This is just stuff you're buying up. You never saw it, you never listened to it, you never touched it.
Right.
You're buying based on a picture, but you also know that if it gets there and it's not what you expected, that you can return it. You can get online, you slap a label on it, all right there. You don't have to call anyone and explain why you want to return it. You're never put on the spot. You just anonymously go on, make your label, send it back. And that's what people want. They want confidence that if they're buying the shoes or whatever it is from you and they're too small or whatever it is for whatever reason, they don't have to fill out a form and they don't have to call. They can come back to your website, which is a great thing, by the way. And they will make their own return label. And then as long as they're on your website and that experience is really good, almost half the time they'll buy something else from you on the spot. So whether that's, hey, I bought the 10s, I needed a 10 and a halves, or hey, I like this other item. The last time I was at your store, I didn't get it because I thought this thing was better. You brought them back because you have a good returns process, and you just built a connection with that customer because the order was easy, the return was easy, and you build a trust factor there. So now they're back on your website, and you'll sell them something else.
Startup Nation, if you're, once again, I know things are a little weird and a little strange and uncertain right now. And if you're thinking about now is the time to kind of dive into your path of entrepreneurship, and e-commerce is the way to go, you should definitely give ReadyCloud a look. Go to readycloudpod.com and get your free 14-day trial there. We have a link there in the show notes if you're listening to the replay on the podcast. So Chris, man, if you would, man, just kind of share with the people some of those tools that you offer to kind of help support those e-commerce entrepreneurs.
Well, you brought up returns, and part of it is that it's important to talk to people. It's important to open up that conversation. At least something where you're communicating your message to that customer. So a part of what we do also, and whether it's you use us or somebody else, is follow-ups. We have something called action alerts in our system, and we're fortunate to put that in there because we had all the tools already in place to make it great. Mm-hmm. And what I mean is that we pull in the initial order, right? So we know when somebody bought. We got the shipping software, so we know when it was shipped. We can track that through, so we know when it was delivered. And if there was a return involved, then we know when we got your order back. So we got that date, and we can track that all the way through to receipt as well. So what Action Alerts does is it'll send something out like, hey, thank you for your order. It's going to be there in a couple of days. Another Action Alert can be like to send you a text. Hey, your order's at your front door. We just delivered it. Or more importantly, if it does result in a return, going back to my previous statement, is that you'll send a return back, and oftentimes you don't know what happens at that point. Did they ever get it back? What happens at that point? We have that information too because we're tracking this thing all the way back. So you can send out another confirmation that says, hey, we got it back. Please allow 5 to 7 days for your refund or whatever it might be. And oh, by the way, we saw that you returned these shoes. Why don't you try this pair instead? Or we just came out with this new line. Or check out our spring sales. Or we apologize it didn't work out. Here's a 10% coupon code. So what I'm getting at is that while all these things from shipping confirmations to it's all getting the customer familiar with your brand. It's all different touches, And it's all different opportunities where they're going to look at it. If you got a text or an email that says, hey, it's been delivered, you're going to click on it. And during that click, you can also put in your message to say, hey, you bought the shoes, here's a complimentary product. Because in the system, in ReadyCloud, you can actually show, if somebody bought with a particular coupon code or bought a particular product, what a complimentary product might be. So you can target these customers down the line. So let's say it's 30 days later, something's, perishable, you're sending food, you're sending something else. And they only have vitamins, example, they only have a 30-day supply. You can say, hey, if I don't hear back from this customer the first 30 or 60 days, send out an email to whoever bought it. And so it'll keep track of these people for you. It'll send out a follow-up. Hey, we noticed you bought this on this particular date. Are you running low? Click here to buy more, that type of thing. So, beyond, the back-end processes of getting things right and, which is so important, customer service. That's why people order on Amazon, right? You get the thing in a couple of days. People love that. When it takes more than a couple of days, when it takes a week, that resonates in a different way. And maybe you look for, buy it from somebody else next time. So from the order to the delivery to the follow-ups, it's all really part of what we do.
All right, Startup Nation. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We got to pay some bills. But once again, my name is Dominic Lawson, and this is The Startup Life. This episode is powered by ReadyCloud. Startup Nation, if you're selling online, you need ReadyCloud CRM. ReadyCloud CRM keeps you and your team connected through a powerful e-commerce suite for shipping, online returns, and growth marketing. Go to ReadyCloudPod.com to start your free trial. ReadyCloud CRM syncs with all popular sales channels, including Shopify, BigCommerce, Magento, WooCommerce, Square, and Amazon. ReadyCloud CRM has the everyday tools you need to review all your orders, quickly ship your orders for less, and handle returns the way Amazon does. Start today and get 100 free action alerts by registering at ReadyCloudPod.com. That's ReadyCloudPod.com. If you listen to the replay on the podcast, the link is there in the show notes. So if you're ready to take your e-commerce game to the next level, remember ReadyCloud, the e-commerce suite with all the tools you need. This episode is powered by a Personal Revolution podcast. Startup Nation, have you been stuck inside wondering how to take charge of your life? Is there something you want to do but haven't been able to do yet? In Personal Revolution, best-selling author and life coach Allison Task helps you take control of your life with inspiration and humor so that you move from where you are now to where you want to be and have fun doing it. It's like having a personal coach whispering in your ear. This 3-month podcast course, along with bonus episodes each month, will help you create a clear vision for what you want out of life, remove the frustrating blocks that are holding you back, develop a detailed action plan that will drive you to where you want to be, and build a network that will help you create your future. And at $4.99 per month, the Personal Revolution podcast comes with a personal workbook and real-time access to a community of other change makers working toward their goals with positivity, possibility, and momentum. And for a limited time, all of this is available to you for free. That's right, Startup Nation, free. Download the Himalaya app in your app store, look up Personal Revolution, and enter promo code REVOLUTION at checkout to get your first month absolutely free. So if you're ready to go after a better life, you're ready for Personal Revolution. Startup Nation, make sure you stay tuned at the end of this episode for an exclusive trailer for the Personal Revolution podcast. Startup Nation, we tell you all the time that no one does anything great on their own. That includes starting a business or a nonprofit, or even becoming a thought leader or an influencer. My point is that you need a team to do it successfully and responsibly. And that is why you should contact DR & Associates. Danielle and her team provide branding solutions, along with digital and social media marketing that provide tangible results you are looking for. No matter if you are a Fortune 500 company or an author looking to make an impact, DR & Associates needs to be part of your team. They are one of the few firms whose leadership has been recognized by Google, which is proof of concept that they are very good at what they do. Contact DR & Associates today to grow your online presence. The number is 615-933-3681, or you can visit their website at drandassociates.com. Also, make sure you follow their Facebook page as well.
DR and Associates, providing real clients with real results.
All right, Startup Nation, welcome back to the Startup Life as we continue our conversation with Chris Dunn, CEO of ReadyCloud LLC. For sure. And once again, Startup Nation, if you want to go ahead and get started on your e-commerce journey, you definitely want to look at readycloudpod.com. Once again, we have a link there in the show notes, and it syncs with all your popular sales e-commerce sites from Shopify, BigCommerce, Magento, WooCommerce, Square, and Amazon as well. And also when you sign up, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, you guys are offering the first 100 action alerts free when you register through readycloudpod.com, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So make sure you check that out, Startup Nation, for sure. So, Chris, let me ask you this, man. Kind of tell me about your team there at ReadyCloud and how valuable they are in telling the ReadyCloud story, but also delivering on those deliverables. Forgive the redundancy. Delivering on those deliverables when it comes to your customers.
Well, that's a pretty good perspective because I can sort of identify a couple pitfalls that we got into early on. Software is a whole yeah, I will. Software is a whole different ball game than physical product, right?
Okay.
Anybody sitting down listening to this right now, pick the stapler up off your desk or the cup or whatever it is you have in front of you, your sunglasses, okay? Mm-hmm. That's it. All right. So you go into business for yourself and you're like, I'm going to make a product. Okay. Just like I did out of school, I'm going to make a product. It starts out with some kind of tooling. You're going to go to a guy. He's going to give you you're going to commission him to make the different things to get this thing put together. And then once it is, that's your product, right? You can do it in different colors. You can do, different packaging. You can, spice things up over time, but it's literally carved in steel, literally. So that is, you have physical components and physical tooling that's going to make this product for you. So over time, you think of different ways to market it, to package it, different types of customers and verticals that you might be able to get into with it. But you have a product life cycle for a physical product, and it might be 2 or 3 years, depending. It might be longer, Yeti bottles, things like that, right? It's going to be, they might make small tweaks to it, but that's going to be a bottle, and that's going to be what it is. 2 years from now, it's going to be the same bottle. Software takes a little bit more mental preparedness. It takes, it changes all the time, right? So there's a lot of software, for anybody jumping on your phone, you get updates all the time, right? Whether you got an iPhone or whatever it is that you're using, it's update. Your apps update all the time. It's expected. And so that's the difference between physical product and software product. And where it's sort of a trap that we fell into. We've always been, up until very, very recently, very developer heavy, because it was always update, more, push. And it's a really easy trap to fall into because that's expected. Your customers are going to want to know, when's the next update coming out? Hey, I have a great feature for you. Can you do this for me? Don't fall into that trap either, right? You have to do what's best for everyone. If you're doing a SaaS-based product, there's a few different ways you could do it. You could look at the Google way of doing it as a minimum viable thing, right? So a minimum viable thing is what is the absolute, Slack, for example, was a minimum viable thing, right? They put it out there and you can communicate, and then it grew over time. If you're jumping into something that's more of a mature industry, the second time around for me in ReadyCloud with shipping software, it was a mature industry. I'd already gone through this once already with one shipping software that evolved into another shipping software. Right. And there's other shipping softwares out in the field. So you are actually competing with mature products. So know who your competition is as well, because if you come in thinking, all right, I have a budget, I can get this thing together, there are other competitors out there, but I can at least get a foothold within a minimum viable product. Sometimes that's true, and sometimes it isn't, because people will like something about what you do, but at the same time, there are more mature products out there that you have to compete with, and so you'll fall into a similar trap. You'll be like, all right, I got to build, and come out with new updates to my software all the time to compete with these other guys. And then you're going to get different perspectives from some of your better customers. Says, oh, I wish you could do this. Do what's best for your product. You have to have a vision of what you want to be, not what they want you to be. And that's the biggest distinction that you can make early on, because if you just be what other people want you to be, because you don't want to lose that 1 or 2 big accounts,
Right.
then that's what you're going to have is 1 or 2 big accounts. You basically built it for them. So have your vision, straighten out your vision. Don't get too lost into a trap of just building the software. I've seen some very, very successful companies come in with a little bit of a unique spin on stuff, not, and sort of take a sort of minimum viable twist on it and be really successful with great marketing and sales. So what a lot of development's going to do is you're going to get stuck into a cycle of a lot of development. And so don't get too developer heavy. Don't get stuck into a trap of just doing only what your customers want to do. Be your own boss. You got to know when to say no. I actually have a really good story of a guy I got involved with. One of his he was selling product, and I can't remember the life of me what it was at the moment, but he was selling product to Walmart. And Walmart was like 70% of his sales. It was something astronomical. So he was married to him. But the margins were terrible. The margins I think he was making less than 10%. So overall, his business was barely getting by. His other customers were great. He was making 30+% on those sales. But Walmart had this massive volume. And understand too, when you get in these situations, it's more than just say, hey, I'm going to step away from Walmart and just go for these higher margin sales because of Walmart, right? Because they're doing so much volume, your volume goes up, right? So you're not making 500 widgets, you're making 100,000 widgets, so it costs you half as much to make these things, okay? And that's what makes a lot of other things possible because all your overall cost of goods go down. So what he eventually did is he walked away from Walmart, and it was one of the hardest things that he ever did.
I bet.
Because he was married to the one account. He was doing just what they wanted him to do. He was selling it at margins that was really sort of started to cripple his business over time. And he stepped away from it and rebuilt it, and it wasn't easy. He had but he built up a different distribution system, going to a lot of direct to retailer, and it ended up working out in the end. So while that's not a software-based story, it kind of goes to the same thing. Be careful, about listening just to the demands of your biggest accounts. Do what you think's right for you in the long term.
Thank you for sharing all of that, Startup Nation. From all of what Chris just said, I picked up on 3 points that I definitely want to highlight really quickly. Number one, that differentiation in your business is so important. So make sure you look at that unique value proposition that you're offering for your customers. Number two, always be willing to evolve, or at the very least not be afraid to evolve your business when things aren't necessarily going the way you want. And lastly, watch those margins, because like you said, you can be married to a big retailer like a Walmart, and while they're making a killing, you're necessarily not so much making a killing. So definitely important to watch all of that for sure. Chris, man, I thank you for all of that, man. That's some very good value there you just added.
Thank you.
No worries.
Happy to help.
So let me ask you this, man. So, I know, you're in your role as CEO and things of that nature. A lot of CEOs, they're reading books, listening to podcasts, have mentors and stuff like that. I guess I'm curious about, what are you learning? How are you learning? Do you have a mentor? Are you reading a book right now? If so, what is that book? Just kind of share with us that professional development piece you've taken on. Not just necessarily as a CEO, but also in your professional life.
You know what? It's changed over time.
Okay.
These days, I talk to a lot of customers. I talk to people who we serve, to the people who we do business with. I talk to a lot of developers. I try to get as many different perspectives as possible. So that's how people use it. What are people's expectations of your product and what you do and what the future is. What people's immediate needs are. So I'm very customer focused. I'm also very product focused because that's my background. And I try to marry the two, and sometimes it's not always easy because I get stuck in the same trap where somebody's going to say, "Hey, it'd be great if you did this," and I have to take a step back from it and sort of understand that you're a great customer at the same time. You have to sit on that request for a while to see if it's resonates, but. Starting out was different. Starting out in the bike industry, I was in Marin County. Marin County is on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was a mecca. It was a mecca for mountain bikes, and so that's very much what I did because I knew I was fresh out of school and I know I didn't know anything, and so what I did was I tried to sort of affiliate myself with some local companies. One was Marin Mountain Bikes. This guy Bob Buckley, he was a character. He's an old school guy. He made a ton of money, I guess, in the '60s selling jewelry and something random, and eventually created Marin Mountain Bikes. And I go over there, and they were great. You know, we go to trade shows. He'd give me some bikes and things like that to put my stuff on, and he was always there for sort of advice and mentoring. I remember the first time I went to his office. He had a secretary out front, and he's like, Bob, we'll see you now. And I went in. He had one of these doors on a remote, and so you walk in the room, and I was a kid, right? I was maybe 23, something like that, 24. And I walked in, and he hit the remote, and the door shut behind me. I was like, I'm in the principal's office. So, but he was great. You know, he said, hey, this is this is how it worked out. He was also obviously in manufacturing. So he would tell me stuff that I didn't know, all these bikes and all this stuff coming out of the same factories in Taiwan. And this is what you got to look out for. And this is how you might negotiate things. So, find somebody that's not necessarily a competitor. I made accessories, right? But Marin Mountain Bikes, just like it sounds, made full bikes. So we were kind of complementary. But because, he had already built up his business and he was willing to share, and I was green, I could walk in there, and those guys are awesome. Surround yourself with some mentors like that.
Got you. Thank you for sharing all of that, for sure. So let me ask you this, man. What's your entrepreneurial superpower and why?
Oh, mine? Oh, yeah. Man, you know what? And I don't know if it's a superpower or not.
Okay.
But I'm pretty stubborn. I never give up on stuff. So when I was talking, earlier about, being committed, you have to be committed as an entrepreneur. You got to believe in what you're doing. Otherwise, it's just you feeling frustration in your job. It's not really you wanting to be an entrepreneur. It's just like you need to change the pace. If you're really passionate about something, then you jump out and you do it, and you commit yourself to make it happen, whether it happens or not. And that way, on the other side of it, if it doesn't work out, you gave it 100%. And if it does work out, you reap the rewards of the naysayers around you, who say, hey, we didn't think you'd get it done, or the people who are there to support you, or they love you even more for it. So that's what I would say. No, not everything I've done has been a home run, but you learn from it, right? It's like we're ReadyCloud now. We used to be TrueShip, right? We used to be shipping software. And we actually saw at one point, it says, hey, you know what? We could bonk. There might be if we just stay being shipping software, we're limited. We're limited what we're going to do. We're limited how we can appeal to people. So let's evolve. And you might find that. I say I'm stubborn, but if you can't be so stubborn that you're not opposed to, evolving the idea over time too. And that's why I also talk to people. I find out what they want. I find out how they're using the software. I try to understand other people in the industry, and what other people and even competitors are doing. And you just try to, have a little bit of foresight and balance what you want to accomplish with the other things that people would like to see.
Gotcha.
And so that's what I would say.
Got you. Okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate all of that for sure. Once again, we're talking to and wrapping up with Chris Dunn, CEO of ReadyCloud. And Chris, you may or may not know this or not, but I'm actually chatting with one of your team members, Branding, at right now at this very moment. I was asking him some questions about you because I wanted to know a little bit more about you. And I want to read that, if you don't mind, really quickly. Give me a second. Oh, it's all good, I assure you. He really enjoys working and usually puts in at least 12-hour days. He is a guy that always sees the weekend as long. He, as far as a leader, he is leading by example. He is not afraid to hop on a sales or support call to show us how it's done. He's also a great person. You should see how he transitions from CEO to number one dad as soon as his kids come in. So when you hear that, man, what is that? What do you think about? Is that an accurate depiction, you think? Does he get it completely wrong? What's your take on that?
I think you got to lead by example. I mean, you got to be present. Yeah, you got to. So it's like, I'll go way back with that one.
Sure.
When I said I got out of school and I worked, I had a little tiny office, right? A little it was 200 by 200 square foot. It's tiny, right? I had stuff everywhere. It's racks of stuff going up to the ceiling. Then I worked a restaurant during the evening, right?
Mhm.
And it's like whatever it is that you're doing, if you want the respect of the people around you, then you got to step up, regardless of what. You can't say, oh, I worked a full day already. I already did 8 hours of my day job. Now I got a night job. They don't really respect you, right? You got to come in and you got to put in your best effort, even if you are bar backing, even if you are waiting, even if you are whatever that second job is that you need, early on to try to make your dreams happen. That's how the people around you, respect you. You got to
Gotcha.
look past what the job is, to understand what your goals are.
I hear that. Thank you for sharing that. Really quick question before I ask the last question. If I were to ask your kids what dad does, what would they tell me in their words?
Oh, you know what? I try not to. I don't cross that. I think they
Okay.
probably think I invented the internet.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough. All right. Fair enough. I hear that for sure. So once again, we're wrapping up with Chris Dunn, CEO of Ready Cloud. I just want to say thank you so much for your time and your energy. I really appreciate all the content you've given us today. But I'm actually going to turn the microphone over to you, man, because there's an entrepreneur out there that's feeling stuck or afraid to start a business, afraid to, to move forward in their e-commerce business and stuff like that. Give them some words of encouragement to take us on out for today.
Well, you know what? I think I've shared a lot of it. It's a scary thing. It is. If you're thinking about doing it for the first time, and you have to have a lot of resolve to get in and do it on your own for the first time. And a lot of people, it was. I'll tell you what, it was easy for me because I was single and I was young and I could afford to flop. Right? Nobody else was going to get hurt but me. If I was older, if I was married, if I had kids, it would be a much tougher decision. And so it would be difficult for me to speak or give advice from from the point of that person because I wasn't that person. I was 24 and I could eat a lot of top ramen and do whatever and work long hours and work hard, play hard, and all that other stuff to burn off some steam. So it's where you are, part of your life. Do you need security? You want to be this entrepreneur, but do you have people relying on you at home? If you don't, man, go for it because you'll never have that opportunity again. If you got a dream now, and you know that you can make ends meet while you pursue this dream, then do it. Because if you wait too long, it's going to get harder. That'd be my advice. You want to be that great dad. You want to be there for your wife. You want to be that person. Sure. And so later on, it gets harder.
That's going to wrap up this session of the Startup Life. Did you enjoy being on the show, my man?
That is great. Thank you.
Oh, no worries. And as always, Startup Nation, if you have an idea, be about that life, the Startup Life. If you want to let us know what you think about our show, have an idea for a show topic, or would like to advertise on our show, send us a message on the Startup Life Podcast Facebook page. And while you are there, like and follow our page as well. It's a great way for us to engage with you, Startup Nation, and really grow our community. The link is there in the show notes. Subscribe to the show as it can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, or even on your Facebook timeline or any other platform you like to get your podcast. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts and you find our content valuable, please give us a 5-star rating as it will help us climb the charts and help more people find our show. You can also listen to the show on the Startup Life Podcast new website. There you will find the all-new startup blog where I write on many topics that are interesting and helpful to you on your path to entrepreneurship. And hey, if you have an idea, be about that life, the Startup Life. Startup Nation, here's an exclusive trailer from Allison Task and her Personal Revolution podcast, the career and life coach that has been featured on Good Morning America, The Today Show, The Early Show, USA Today, and many more publications. Check it out.
Hi, my name is Allison Task, and I am the host of Personal Revolution. Are you ready to be happy and do that thing you always wanted to do? Well, I am thrilled to announce that I have now made available for free the Personal Revolution podcast course. This course is based on my best-selling book, and it is now yours for free wherever you like to listen to podcasts. It includes 10 original episodes with plenty of never-released-before content, and then it includes a premium version. For $4.99 a month, you will get a customized workbook, you'll get access to a private community on Himalaya, and you'll have just-in-time audio drop-ins from me again in the community on Himalaya. Just go to Himalaya.com, look up Personal Revolution, and type in Revolution to get your first month for free. I'll look forward to seeing you in the community.
So Startup Nation, if you're ready for a personal revolution, go to the show notes and subscribe to the Personal Revolution podcast.